What is up, football fans? I am Danny Austin. This is the Live from the 55 podcast. We are about, 45 minutes, an hour removed from the Ottawa Redblacks winning one of the games of the season, 43-41 against the Calgary Stampeders in overtime at McMahon Stadium. I have just finished my story. My head hurts. I got a headache. I feel like I can barely talk. Should have grabbed a glass of water before going, but we want to get something up for you guys as quickly as possible here so that there's something for fans to hopefully listen to on Monday morning. There's been an absolutely, well, to be honest, I don't know that it was the world's greatest weekend of CFL games. I don't think that Lions-Riders game was much to write home about. But boy, oh boy, was this Stampeders and Redblacks game awesome. As I said, I feel completely wiped out, but what are you going to do? That's what the best CFL games do to you. So yeah, I don't even know where to start. Again, 43-41, 8 lead changes. First of all, I mean, full marks to the Ottawa Redblacks. I'm all in on Dustin Crum. Honestly, like, I feel like 2.5 weeks ago I'd never heard of the guy. Now he's beaten the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Calgary Stampeders. That doesn't just happen. I think that at some point, you always want to see guys their second time through playing against teams once there's been a lot of video. But I just think, to be honest, I think that the Redblacks had such a good game plan. They really limited sort of high risk plays and did what Crum was good at. He did a great job escaping pressure. Yeah, he was sacked 5 times, but I also just generally think that there were lots of times when the pocket did collapse around him and he survived and found that open receiver. By and large, I think on the other side, I mean, Jake Mayer had some great moments. He finished, he completed 28 of 38 passes for 450 yards, 4 touchdowns. The problem is there were also 2 interceptions and a fumble. The Redblacks scored off sort of all of those. There was a pick 6 and then the fumble they scored on the ensuing drive. Oh, there's Ian Busby. I can see him outside. He's coming in to join me. That's great. And then that final interception really felt like that was the moment where the Stamps could kind of put their foot down and finish things up, and they just didn't. This leaves the Stampeders in an absolutely really, really difficult spot. They have the Alouettes in Montreal next week. I like what the Alouettes have shown me. They're obviously coming off a bye week, and then you have Toronto, BC, Winnipeg, Toronto in August. Absolutely brutal. So I don't know. I just right now I look at these Ottawa Redblacks. They're 3-3. They're 500. A couple weeks ago, we did this whole hi Ian. Ian's going to join it here in just 1 or 2 minutes once I'm done with my intro. But yeah, I think that I had the Redblacks sort of in that bottom third tier along with the Edmonton Elks. I will gladly apologize. I got family in Ottawa, love them to death, huge Redblacks fans. This Redblacks team is a lot better than I realized. Yeah, the Stampeders went perfect, but if I only focus on one team, I think I'm missing the point, which is that the Redblacks have currently they have a better record. They're 500. The Stamps are 2-4. This Redblacks team, if you told me that they were going to be down to this is their 4th quarterback, and that they were going to be beating the Blue Bombers and Stampeders, I never would have believed you. As for the Stamps, I'll just read a quote from Dave Dickinson. He said, I'm of the opinion that you have to do something different. You can't continue to make the same calls or coach the same ways. The players aren't responding. That's it. We found ways to change it up a couple of years ago. He's referring to 2021. And the players responded. So now we have to find the same ways, or we have to get new players. That's the other option. So we'll see how that goes. I certainly think it's too soon after for me to specifically target or name certain players. I think we can see. I think that there were certain plays there where you just wonder. Again, it was just an execution thing, and the problem is every time people say it's just an execution thing, it ignores the fact that football is about execution. That's like 90% of the game. You can have the perfect game plan. You can have great elite players. Everything. It's just you need to execute, and the Stampeders are not executing at the level they need to right now. I think it's great that they threw for as many yards as they did. They also Dedrick Mills had 6 run attempts. Even the short yardage game wasn't quite where it needed to be. I don't know. There's so much to unpack here. I've got Ian Busby. He's very gracefully it's 9:30 on a Sunday night here. And I was like, what am I going to do? Ian said he'd come in. So before he does, I am just going to very quickly, as I am wont to do. Gosh, I can show you just a charcuterie board right now. I'm very hungry. They have canceled halftime pizza at McMahon Stadium. I'm not going to complain about this too much. I got some stuff I got to talk to some people about it. McMahon, the elevator also wasn't working today. This was not a good day for covering the Stampeders. But man, a charcuterie board would have made that a lot better. I'll say that. Fraser and Fig, they do the best of them. They do these amazing cheese and charcuterie boards, boxes. They're made fresh, artisanal ingredients, provisions. Again, ready to go. You can pick them up. You can order them. You can do what you want, really. Picnics, parties, whatever you want. They got 4 sizes. They suit every occasion. All their boxes come with meat, cheese, dried fruit, fresh fruit, nuts, olives, pickles, and carrots. I shouldn't slam the table like that. I'm told it's not good and comes across on the microphone. But yeah, thank you to Fraser and Fig. We're super pumped to have them on board. I'm not even going to make the joke. I'm sure people can tell. Normally, 45 minutes after a game is not when I pop on and talk for 45 minutes to an hour. Normally, I go home and drink a bunch of water and I don't know, like watch YouTube or something. But I got Ian Busby here, so we're gonna get set up real quick. Let's cut to that. Thanks, guys, for watching. We're gonna try to do our best. We are gonna talk about other games a little bit, but right now, a pretty consequential loss for the Calgary Stampeders, a pretty consequential win for the Ottawa Redblacks. So I don't know. I do feel the other, to be honest, am I wrong here? I'm gonna open up the little CFL Connect. The other 3 games, the teams that I thought were going to win won. So it is a little bit more interesting. Again, I do just want to kind of adjust. So we're going to cut here. I'm going to bring Ian on. I'm wearing my James Wilder Jr. hat from 2018, only because I honestly got on screen and I was like, I'm 39 and I was like, I look like a 75-year-old man right now. So I put on this hat because I shaved. I hate shaving. Here we go. Ian Busby. Thanks for watching. Here we go. All right. Did a little adjustment. Got the mics, got the double mics here set up, so feeling a little more comfortable. All and right. Ian, I know, again, like me, you watched the game. You were not at the stadium. I know you were watching from home.
I was watching part from work, part from a pub. It was an exciting game. Holy smokes.
You can't beat it for entertainment.
That was great entertainment. And we didn't have a lot of great entertainment through the CFL this weekend. You can't have it every weekend like we did last weekend, but this was obviously the game of the week and probably one of the games of the year. And well, it looks like Ottawa Redblacks have a guy. They have a guy.
We're going to go heavy. But I mean, to your point about how not every game is going to be entertaining, like I look at it. Okay, Winnipeg beat Edmonton 28-14. We would have picked them.
They didn't cover the spread, which was 14.5,
which is ridiculous.
It's amazing how I always, when the bookmakers actually get that pinpointed, I'm always surprised.
Toronto beat Hamilton 31-15. Yeah, everyone would have picked that. And then the Lions beat the Riders in a game that I truly struggled to get through, 19-9. Yeah. You would have picked the Lions to win that game. Now, good football teams win the games they're supposed to win. So that is the significance of those 3 games. I think everyone with Dustin Crum starting, I think we've learned a lot about Dustin Crum. We're going to get into that. But, hey, second game, the Stamps will have some tape on them. I think we had the Stamps as pretty heavy favorites.
I thought they were going to win. I thought that was going to be a one game blip. They would have their defense swarming, and they threw a lot of kitchen sink stuff at him, and he still was looking pretty solid.
His composure in the pocket. Yeah. Now, I think that
does not belie a guy who's making his first or second start.
Yeah. I do think that the game planning was pretty exceptional. There was a lot, a lot of play action. They ultimately established the run, which then allowed them that extra sort of split second. And I think Crum, he was not asked to do a ton. The passes he was throwing weren't super hard other than the final.
What was his rushing totals at the end?
His rushing totals 63.
63.
That's the thing.
On 9 carries. He's one of those, okay, I'm going to take it down and I'm going to go. And he knew exactly where his yard markers were, and he was just getting first down.
And then, he threw the touchdown in the fourth quarter was genuinely, the Trail Jamerson probably shouldn't be getting beat on that ball, but was ultimately, I thought Dustin Crum was exceptional for a guy in that position. I think that's exactly what you want to see.
There was a lot of deep passes connected tonight, and that's what you want to see. This is what makes the league so fun. It's like, the Stamps are probably looking at that. It's like, we got some busts downfield. We had some guys open. Shouldn't have allowed that. But the Stamps did that as many times too. Jake Mayer had 4 great touchdown passes.
This is what I was going to say is I look at Dustin Crum, 23 of 39, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then on the ground, as we said, 9 runs for 63 yards. You look at Jake Mayers, and on the surface, if you cut out
the 2 interceptions,
and the fumble, 24 of 38, 450 yards and 4 touchdowns. Bam.
Yes.
That's exactly what you want.
But the 3 turnovers were obviously killer because
one of them was a pick 6.
Yeah.
The Red Blacks, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that they scored a touchdown after the fumble.
Yeah.
And then they scored again after
they converted. And they made them pay for all their mistakes.
My lead in my story is that there were so many moments in that game where it felt like the Stampeders were one play away from finishing it.
Yes.
And in every one of those situations, the Red Blacks were the team that came up big.
And
that interception.
If you can make a team like pay for their mistakes, then you only make 3 or 4 mistakes, and suddenly it's
what do they always say? You win the turnover battle, you're
Yeah.
typically going to win the game. And it's just, I saw so much that I liked from Drake Mayer. Man, this Clark Barnes kid, I don't know how closely you were watching him, but like
he's good. Yeah.
He is, I mean, a 3rd round pick coming in. For me, we don't have the stats, so I can't like go and say, I don't know, maybe there's some great rookie in Toronto who I'm completely missing, or like what I do know is Clark Barnes, what is showing me is he's definitely, if he's not the front runner, he's one of the front runners for most outstanding rookie. 5 catches for 87 yards plus a ton.
He was involved a lot on special teams.
Yeah. I mean, I've got that here. So yeah, 110 yards. So, that's 200 yards basically of all-purpose yards. I was really impressed there. This is the thing. I could go through, and if I ignored the fact that the Stampeders lost, if this was a loss to the Lions or to the Bombers or to Toronto, I would say, look, the result is disappointing, but
you put up 41 points. Like,
it's the fact that like Dustin Crum may be the second coming of whoever, but he's still a guy who's starting a second game. I'm not sure you should be losing 43-41, and it now puts the Stampeders in a position where they're 2-4.
Yes.
They got the Alouettes in Montreal. That's a good Alouettes team coming off a bye. Then you have, I said this in the intro, and I don't know the exact order, but I know Toronto bookends it. So it's Toronto, BC, Winnipeg, Toronto in August.
Yeah.
You have to be better than this.
Yeah. No, and a couple of weeks ago, we sat here and said, if they can win in Regina, and they did, and then they can come home, and you should expect to be beating the Red Blacks at home on a Sunday night. And then you're back to 3-3 and you're 500. You're okay. Well, now 2-4. I mean, I'm not panicking about this, but I'm hearing a lot and seeing a lot of people out there right now who are just not happy with the Stamps team. And I feel like this was a pretty good game. Like, there's a lot of elements you're going to be positive about in this game. Again, your quarterback made some big mistakes, but he also made some great plays.
100%.
His deep ball accuracy was the thing that we were talking about earlier this season. That was the problem. How many deep balls did they hit?
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, when
they went over the top again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I mean, and again, this is one of those things where when I'm saying it's that one play, there was one over the top to Trey Odom's Dukes. This isn't a criticism of Trey Odom's Dukes. The guy had over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah.
But he literally was gone, and he just tripped. Like, he literally just went down to the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
And that
it's like, well, okay, sometimes you stumble over your own feet.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then what was the other long touchdown throw?
Mark and Michelle.
Yeah.
Had a big one.
Well, he had 2 touchdowns that were both.
Clark Barnes, look, Jake completed a 95-yard touchdown, 54 yards to Clark Barnes, 45 to Trey Odom's Dukes.
And the other thing was, whenever they needed a first down, Reggie Bagleton was right in there in that old. He was in that old Bo Levi Mitchell, Marquay McDaniel range where it was like, we just need the first down. Boom, let's get that first down.
Now, I was a little bit, to be honest, like, I thought that the defense was exceptional all season. I thought that it was sort of one of those things where the offense couldn't stay on the field. Eventually, they were getting grinded down.
Yeah.
I think that the defense is going to be pretty disappointed with its performance.
They do. They have to be disappointed. But you look at some of their plays, I don't see them having a lot of big breakdown in their plays. You got to give Dustin Crum credit. He just was composed. They were throwing the different things at him. Like, I saw a lot of different looks on defense, and they were like, okay, kid, can you handle this? And then he handled it. Yeah. And I think the difference there was that the running ability, because when he can pull down, and so Rush would be coming super fast, he'd be like, okay, I'm just going straight up the middle instead. That happened a couple of times where you're just like, the Stamps were just all over them. And I can't remember which guy came in, and he went to grab a ghost basically and flew by him, and he's like, wait, he's gone already. So impressive performance from the Red Blacks. I think the Stamps, yes, this isn't a good loss. There's no such thing as a good loss when it's something like this, but I'm certainly not disappointed with everything that happened today. Of course, I also really love overtime, and I love the entertainment factor of it.
Oh, it's been, I mean,
Yeah.
If you're look, the last
and let's remember the Stamps got a touchdown in overtime. They just missed the 2-point convert.
Yeah.
And they just didn't. I don't feel like they had a great play on that one, and the rush came too fast, and it was just not working for them. But
no, again, I mean they were over 3 on 2 point.
They were one play away in this game.
Over 3 on 2-point conversions, which isn't good enough. You just need to be better than that. And I don't know if that's as simple as practicing. I don't know what it is.
And this is a team that used to be excellent on 3-point or 2-point conversions. Back a few years ago, when they changed the distance, Dave decided to go to try for 2 points more often, and they were excellent at it. Now of course, they were relying on their slot receiver, and I think Markway McDaniel, I mentioned second time I mentioned, I think he set the record for most 2-point conversions in a single season at that point in time. So yeah, that's just off the top of my brain.
Beyond that, so as you said, I am not panicking either, but I'm also I think that I have to be realistic. The Stampeders are not in that top tier currently. They're just not.
No.
And the fact is, look, they split with the Riders. They split with the Red Blacks. So the teams that they are in that second tier with, they're not
beating them right now.
They're not beating them right now either. They're splitting, which is ultimately like maybe that's just what the expectation has to be for this team. But you now are going to have a run against those top tier teams. And yeah, those teams are improving too. So the Stamps, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And as for the Red Blacks, look, I can't pull up the CFL standings right now because God forbid you be able to do anything.
What?
Literally, I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong here.
Standings.
CFL standings.
We're going to Google the regular site doesn't have it.
Well, so this is Google, which hasn't updated it yet.
Yeah.
And then you go CFL standings. Now, probably Sportsnet might or TSN.
That's the CFL.
TSN website. Quietly, like
CFL website should have it on there. What? Yeah. What do you? Why is it all blank?
Because
is it in the process of updating? It doesn't keep with the old system.
Oh wait, you're telling me that the CFL is incapable of updating one system while having another functional?
All right.
No way. Anyways, ultimately we know what their record is.
Yes.
They are 3-3.
They're a game back of the Riders. They're 2 games back of the Lions.
I am aware that young quarterbacks come in, look great, and it does often 5 or 6 games in, teams have enough tape and are able to make the adjustments, and it's becoming on those quarterbacks then to adjust to the adjustments, right?
Exactly.
That's always what it is. We can't speak to what's going to happen, in September with Dustin Crum. What I know is, hey man, he just beat Calgary and Winnipeg. And I ran into a couple of the TSN guys who, again, what I was going to say very quickly, it's late. I've been working for a while. Going to be all over the place a little bit. Honestly, TSN's website is the only thing that's keeping this league afloat.
Okay.
They have stats. It's great. Ultimately, I think that Ottawa right now is I don't know that they're better than Montreal, but I know that they're in the mix. And
they're second place in the East right now. And this is a team that has lost their top 2 quarterbacks, right? Aren't they?
I mean, yeah, I guess they are, right?
Yeah. Well, Tiger Cats are 2-4.
But are the Alouettes still 2-3? Yeah, they must.
Yeah, they didn't play this week.
So yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. So they're in second place. Now, I mean, there's a lot of season left to go, but and the East Division basically is playing for second place right now. The Argos are running away with it. So, and you're looking at that team as being okay. The Stamps got Argos twice in a month here. That's going to be the real test, right?
Yeah, I ran into the TSN broadcast crew, and one of them did say they were like, the way that I look at Calgary going to Montreal, and I always just sort of chalk it up as a loss because they played so badly in Montreal. He said that's how he feels about the Argos coming to Calgary.
Yes.
And I don't know how true that is. I haven't.
I mean,
I would have done more prep work.
The numbers are probably in that range, but I always remember them beating. Now, what would happen was often Toronto would come here early in the year, and the Stamps would be firing out of the gates usually with good. Mm-hmm. You win your home games. Like this was the Stamps won a home game yet?
No, no Alberta team has won this year.
In Alberta, yeah. Well, they're going to play each other, so somebody's going to have to win in Alberta, but it might not be the home team. But I would expect that the Stamps by Labor Day are going to be feeling like they can win that back-to-back against Edmonton. I would hope so.
Yep.
Anyway, we're all over the map again.
They really better. Let's try to keep it focused a little bit. We will come back to Stamps and Red Blacks. I just honestly, I think that there is a general sense of, this team overtime this week, last second field goal the week before.
Yeah.
Overtime the week before that, because that would have been the Riders' loss.
Right.
I don't know if there was a bye week in there. No, there was Winnipeg in there.
Yeah.
So anyways, 3 of their last 4 games have basically come down to the last
couple of
of
players.
Yes.
And they're 1-2 in those games.
They're 1-2 in those games. That means that they are likely pretty close.
Yeah, they're not far off. And I still feel like when you score 41 points in a game, you're going to feel like there was a couple plays you left out there that will make you feel like you're right there. It just could have gone your way.
And the stat that jumps out to me is if Kadeem Carey is in that game, are you giving him the ball more than 6 times? I don't know why that they went away from Diedrich a fair bit. Didn't work.
Right. But their pass game went 450 yards. So this is why.
Yeah. Well, it's also this, and again, my final thought on this is this is still one of those things where, I'm so focused in on the Stampeders. It's part of why I'm enjoying doing this podcast is because I do talk about other things and I have to pay a little bit closer attention. That relies on other people's reporting. I don't know, man. As you said, if you are a fan of anyone other than the Calgary Stampeders, like literally any other team in the CFL, or you're just an American watching on CBS, and you get this game.
Yeah.
Man, that was fun.
It was fun. I loved it.
And
it was great.
For me, assuming you didn't have work
there was big plays. There was crazy stuff on special teams. A block punt is always fun to watch.
I forgot about we made it this far. I didn't mention the block punt.
Yeah. And then you go to overtime and you get in there and it's just guns a-blazing and I don't know, fun game. And I mean, I really enjoyed it.
No one who doesn't like the CFL is listening
anyway for 15 minutes in.
But honestly, if you're a football fan and it's a Sunday night in Calgary, it's like a nice hot 25, 26 degree, probably hotter day, man, you just can't. There's nothing that you are going to spend your money on that is going to be better than what we saw today. This was absolutely awesome. It's why you love the league.
Was it weird being here at home on a Sunday this early in the season? They never play at home on a Sunday. Basically, Labor Day is more like a holiday type of game. So
I don't. To be honest, I don't know that stuff necessarily super affects me. I kind of just I'm like, all right, Wednesday 1 of the practice week. I'll see you there.
I know that's your week starts day 1.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It'll change when the Flames are back, and I'm trying to balance both. There will be sort of preferences there, obviously, but for now, no. To me, honestly, it felt great. And the stadium, they said that there was. It
looked like a pretty solid crowd on TV.
I know. I just don't know at this point. Honestly, I see the crowd and I'm like, that looks good. And then they give a number that's lower than I think. And then sometimes I think the crowd looks bad and they give a number that's higher. It's hard to say. I think it was around 22,000, which is ultimately
the fans were into the game though.
No one wants to hear this. Oh yeah. When Renee after he hit that.
Well, and we didn't mention he's over 2,000 points for his career now. So
when they buried us, we can.
Yeah, he hits another tying one to send us to overtime, right?
Exactly. What more?
This game had everything we want.
What more can you say? It was awesome. The crowd was super fun. Apparently, they had a $3 hot dog and a pop promotion, which is very good. I don't know. I'm not, to be honest. I'm also slightly annoyed with certain things that happened at today's game from a media perspective. So I'm only going to compliment them so much.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's relatively inhumane. Whatever. Okay, real quick. I mean, I honestly don't have that much to say about Lions Riders.
Well, the only thing there is
very happy Vernon Adams is not. Vernon Adams left the game. It looked really serious.
Yeah.
Farhan
Lalji
didn't
even come back, right?
Yeah. Farhan is tweeting that they do not think it's serious. They're going to continue to evaluate over the next 2 or 3 days, and it is possible that he plays next week.
The reports I saw was the initial thing is there's no major ligament damage, which is what you want to hear. If he can rehab and work it out, hopefully he's back shortly. But Dane Evans played pretty well, and they
completed 16 of 25 for 219.
This is basically why they signed him, because you never know, and sometimes you're only as good as your backup quarterback, and they might have the best backup quarterback in the league. I mean, now that Dustin Crum is the 4th stringer playing for the
I do feel like it's slightly overstated how many people are suggesting that the Lions will trade Dane Evans, because I actually don't think that many people are. I think it's something that guys like me are like, you idiots, and no one's actually saying it. No one's actually saying it. But this is why ultimately you have a solid backup, because you are at any point 1 injury away.
Yeah.
And it's why the Stampeders were never trading Bo last year after he lost the starting job.
Yeah.
And it is why Dane Evans actually there. And I will just say, like, it was good to see Dane Evans out there.
Yeah, he looked better, like his old self. Comes in when I think his first drive when he came in, he hits the touchdown pass. He looked like he was confidently leading that offense, and you're like, okay. And the Lions just shut the Riders down after that. A couple of interceptions late to seal the win. Mason Fine, some flashes there.
I know a lot of people were very frustrated, it seemed, with the conservativeness of the Riders' approach, and that they settled for a lot of short games.
And I think that's what you like. The game plan with a younger quarterback like that is you're just trying to make things simple for him. The Lions' defense is great, so I think that was evident again with this game being 26 points total or something, right? Yeah. 28 points total. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I don't know that Mason Fine can hit a bunch of 35-yard bombs, so I don't know that I'm trying with him. I think you try to play conservative, keep it close, try to win the last 5-6 minutes. Yeah. Didn't happen.
And the Riders' run game was non-existent, like just completely. Like, I think their starting running back had an average of less than a yard a carry. So when that happens and you're not establishing anything, you're not helping out you're not putting him in any second and shorts, at least for most of the time. So.
Argos 31, Ticats 15. This is, again, as I said, this is just kind of one of those games where the Argos were in control, never really felt like they were threatened.
No, and they went into Hamilton and just, it wasn't like they wiped the floor with them, but it wasn't like there was any doubt there, right? Just feels like that's just a team that's chugging along week to week. They know what they're doing. They know what they are. And I think that's the thing that you see from that team is like they've already figured out what they are and what they do well, and they're just moving forward. But that should come from a team that just won the Grey Cup, right?
Oh, I mean, this has been the most interesting thing about the Argos is I don't think any of us I think all of us still felt like the Bombers were the best team in the league, even though they didn't win the championship.
Right.
And the Argos have sort of come out and just made us all eat our words.
Yeah. And it was like, no, we actually didn't. That wasn't a fluke. No. And that coaching staff, that just looks like a solid coaching staff when they're on the sidelines, they just look calm and ready to go. Like with Corey Mason, Ryan Dinwiddie, those guys are just.
And I know that for a lot of us, I think that discipline was an issue going into the 2022 season with that Argos team, and there were questions about that. And I think the fact that those issues are not there is a credit to the players and B, a credit to the coaching staff coming in and sort of very much professionalizing it. There's nothing to say other than I like, and I've said this on the podcast before, I like when the defending champion comes in and makes the rest of the league take it from them.
Yes.
We're the best team. We're the champions.
They're acting like they're wearing the belts every time they're walking out.
And it was the great thing about the Bombers over the last couple of years was they were like, oh no, we run this league now. And I don't know if I've said this podcast, but my big frustration, particularly with 2022, was I wanted the CFL to market around that. I wanted it to be everyone going after Winnipeg. Everyone, like from the start of the year, the big bad Bombers, the whole league wants to knock them off their perch, but it's our crown, it's our throne. Come and take it. Like I wanted that, and I do think that there's reasons why the league never does that. The other 8 teams don't like one having the spotlight, but I think that the Argos right now have a little bit of swagger to them, and that thing that you only really get one team in the league who is ever capable of this,
right?
But where they cruise the way that they did against the Ticats.
Well, and
they look unbothered.
It's very similar to several years ago with the Stamps. Every year it was like from 14 to 18, basically. It was they felt like the team that was confident.
And then basically
going through the regular season,
when Zach took over in Winnipeg, when took over that quarterback job for those next couple of years, Winnipeg had that, and now I don't think people like me saying it, but the Argos have it. Like they're the team right now.
So they're to me, they're undisputed number 1 team in the league right now. And Winnipeg won this week, and it was again just felt like that.
I've never had less to say about a game than Winnipeg and Edmonton. Like Winnipeg was always going to win this one. They did. It's the exact same thing technically that I'm saying about the Argos.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's just
the thing is, like early in that game, Edmonton gets a bunch of opportunities to make some things happen. Like Winnipeg makes a few mistakes. They get down to the goal line, and then suddenly it's like off the hands interception. Okay, that scoring drive is snuffed out. And then Edmonton can't seem to catch a break, but at some point they're going to have to catch a break. They're not going to go winless, right? We haven't had a winless team in the CFL for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So this week coming up, you got Hamilton, Ottawa. At this point, Ottawa should win that game.
At home.
Yeah.
After the momentum they put together and
Argos Riders. I just don't see how the Riders can generate the offense to really push the Argos. The Argos are good everywhere. BC Edmonton, like the Elks aren't winning that one.
No, BC looks solid and depends like if Vernon Adams is playing or not, but you still feel confident with Dane Evans.
So
and then
the Elks have a bye week. I want to just keep going through and just see what the Elks schedule is. Then they have the Bombers again, so they're not winning that.
Is that another game at home? Oh no, that was in Winnipeg.
Then they have Hamilton. So August 17th, that's in Hamilton. You'd really like them to win a home game at some point, but I guess that's winnable.
And their next home game would be against Calgary.
Week 12, they've got Ottawa.
Ottawa. Yeah, okay.
Well,
that's the thing. You're not going to be picking Edmonton versus anybody at this point in time.
No,
because we thought Ottawa 3 weeks ago. We thought Ottawa was the other bottom rung
100%.
team, and now 2 weeks later, we're like, okay, they're definitely in that middle group, but they're pushing towards the top.
Can I ask you right now, if we were doing power rankings? Man, I'm all over the place. That's what happens when I'm tired. And I've done like
it's been a long weekend.
Through no fault of my own. Like I didn't have time. We're trying to get this out in the morning. I just couldn't do any prep work. So this is much more off the cuff, but we don't have like but like I would have Edmonton as my 9th team in the power rankings.
Yeah.
Is it Hamilton or
it's Hamilton.
And then Calgary?
Maybe, yeah. It's Calgary's 7th, yeah. Because they haven't played Montreal, but we're going to find out, I guess, a lot.
So then
this week
above that,
because now that they're going into Montreal for next weekend, right? Okay. So that we're going to find out a lot about both of those teams in that game.
Yeah, but so I'm genuinely curious. Like this might be crazy and this might be a huge overreaction, but who are the Red Blacks fourth? Like, is that possible?
Right?
Is it because
we know who's on the top? It's Toronto.
I don't know that
BC,
I like,
and then it's Winnipeg. And I'm like,
if you were to give me straight up Ottawa, Saskatchewan, I think I'd take Ottawa in a head-to-head.
Yeah.
Again, could be overreacting, but they just beat the Bombers and they just beat the Stamps.
And we were talking about it earlier this year that Ottawa is a pretty solid team over like top to bottom. They were just having quarterback injuries.
Yeah.
And now that is solidified.
So that's the thing. So I guess it's sort of like you have that at this point, and I don't like saying it again. I think that the Stamps are only like a couple plays go their way, and they're in a much different position. So
I don't. Yeah, I think you would still put them ahead of Montreal, but
I guess
I definitely put them ahead of Hamilton.
And like the thing is, I might put Calgary ahead of Saskatchewan.
Well, they just beat Saskatchewan too, but they've also lost to them earlier in the year on a last play that would have changed it.
So the reason why I was doing this,
you can talk this. You can talk. We can talk ourselves into circles and see which way.
I basically was like, where is Ottawa? And I think Ottawa might be 4th in my power rankings right now.
Could be. I wouldn't dispute it. Like you could make an argument for that completely.
Yeah. We may look like idiots in 2 weeks. I might look like an idiot.
Well, and here's the thing: like, okay, they were only good in the last like 3 minutes of that last game against Winnipeg. I wouldn't say they were only good. They were pretty solid in the second half. They weren't putting up touchdowns, and then they suddenly were like pick 6, and he had another pick 6 tonight. Jeez, that guy, Dandridge.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
so, I mean, yeah,
they've just got playmakers on both sides of the ball, and the Winnipeg or the Ottawa receiving core, they're a solid group. That Jalen Acklin is impressive.
Yeah,
Bahar, he had a great game tonight. Gets the winning 2-point conversion. So Ottawa's a solid team. Like you could make this argument that they are number 4, and they're not that far off. But okay, again, we've had 8 quarters of action of this guy named Dustin Crum, who were just like, I don't know.
And like honestly, if you want to come and say like, oh, it's like, what are you guys talking about? It's only
they won 2 overtime games too.
Guys, we're trying to fill space on a podcast. Like I know
no, we're here to talk about important stuff.
Yes, no, but like
I
am fully aware that all of this could flip on a dime.
Yeah,
and like I always like. People want you to have debates over who's better and who's not. Like every Winnipeg fan will be like, talk to me in November and be like, cool, you don't want content till November?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no, I don't know that Ottawa is. I don't know that I'd pick them as my fourth team to win the Grey Cup.
But here's the thing.
Right now, who am I picking above them in a head-to-head
not
game?
a great story for, okay, 3 weeks ago, we were thinking, oh, Ottawa is going to be another like 2-16, and they're going to be out by now. No, like this, the old adage is like the season doesn't start by Labor Day. I'm like, where we're going to be in a month? I don't know. Yeah. Like that's we're could be all over the map. A million things can change because how many things have changed in the last 3 weeks? So yeah.
Please nobody go back and listen to me talk about the tiers.
I was right with you on the tiers, though. I said that Stamps would probably be the team that joins the upper tier, and they still might, but you never know. Like they have to start winning games. Big onus on going into Montreal, and you've been adamant that they don't win very many games in Montreal.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, yes, also they need to start cutting out the mistakes. Like that's the thing that sticks out with me about these Stampeders. And yes, we're going back to the Stampeders. Just left that stadium. The elevator wasn't working. There's no pizza at halftime anymore. It's been a long night. Like my thing is that I genuinely, all the plays where they don't screw up, like their special teams coverage, I'm like, as long as every play where you don't allow a touchdown, you look great. It's just they allowed 2 touchdowns last game.
Yeah.
Like Jake Mayer, I'm like, oh wow, Jake's like really figuring it out. Like they're being more aggressive with their play calling, going over the top, going deep, doing all of that. All the things that 3 weeks ago everyone was mad that they weren't doing, they're doing now and finding success. But there's these mistakes. It's like it's almost if you could just eliminate your mistakes, which it's obviously easier said than done.
But you're not trying to play a perfect game in July. You want to play your perfect games in November. But you
have talked about
are always wanting to be building towards it, right? So are you seeing progress with this team? That's the question. Yeah, we're seeing progress. They're making
in some areas.
Like the 2 touchdown thing last week. Well, they were solid on special teams coverage tonight.
Yeah.
And I think Tyson Middlemost helped out a lot with that, right? It's like it just felt like that was like okay, that's a guy who hasn't been in the roster, and I'm like, okay, he's out there and he's one of the first downfield all the time. I'm like, okay,
his speed actually does help.
Yeah,
it was very funny. Like CFL.ca's website, inexplicably, this is me being tired where I say things like this. Their game preview was like, well, the Stamps know they can rely on offense on Reggie Bagleton and Tyson Middlemost. And I was like, I don't think Tyson Middlemost has had a catch all year.
I think that's do they think did they mix him mix him up for somebody else?
Honestly, we all make mistakes. We all say it was funny more than anything. It's just like Tyson Middlemost there is a really good special teams player. It's just inexplicably this year there have been just a couple instances, and I'm not going to name names, where people who clearly have not followed the Stampeders or don't know them, have really focused in on the importance of Tyson Middlemost to the offense, and he's just not that important on offense.
No, he's not even a starter, is he?
Yeah, that's not specific to to CA. That's not specific to anyone. It's been a weird thing. Yeah, I guess. Is there anything? Look, I think I know you weren't there, but let's just kind of rapid fire go over a couple last things. Because this will be a shorter one. It is late. I will say he's your friend much more so than mine, but I thought that the Stamps, I don't know if you saw the tribute video today.
There was a little bit on the TSN broadcast.
They did a lovely job. The PA announcer box at McMahon Stadium will henceforth be known as
Dan Carson box,
as the Dan Carson box,
Sweet.
Which is entirely appropriate. Really, really loved that. And I think that means a lot to you. So I did want to just kind of point it out. It means a lot to me, but not, I didn't have the personal relationship. So was very pleased. I know you're at his wake. I know it's been a difficult time. So I just wanted to one more time shout out Dan and shout out the Stampeders for doing a good job. Again, we kind of covered the Vernon Adams thing. It was just, there was this moment where I was like,
I was like, third straight week, we're going to lose a quarterback. Like, come on. Like this league is quarterback driven, and we can't keep having a guy go out every week and I'm like, thank gosh, like knock on wood, it wasn't season ending or serious that he's going to have to miss a huge chunk of time, because we just want,
I tweeted,
we want the best players to be on the field, right?
And I don't.
Some of them aren't.
There is a level where football is always sort of a war of attrition, right? Like it is. You need to be healthy at the end of the year, and often like there's a little bit of luck in that and all that. But it's also like I don't want it to be like, oh, the last team standing is the one who had the best backup.
Yeah.
No, I want the best players to play the best. That's what we want for this league. And so it was very concerning. And then, as it turns out, he could be back this week, which is awesome news. And I feel like I don't know if dodging a bullet is the appropriate sort of term to use in this case, but who knows?
Well,
we know him as always.
They
not
were
back.
being very cautious with him, which is definitely a thing that we want to do with a guy who's had the. You just want to make don't rush him, don't worry about him, because you feel also that you could tell that team felt confident with Dane Evans too. So
exactly, and like there have been rumblings that Bo might not be as far off as previously thought in Hamilton. I'm not saying like, oh, Bo's a solution or whatever, but like he's a big name, he's a big star in this league. This league's better when
you
Bo's
would
playing.
like to see him be able to continue his career and put up the performances that we remember, right?
Exactly.
And here's the like you look at the East Division, Hamilton's hosting the Grey Cup, and 2 years ago they were in the Grey Cup when they were hosting, and it made that added a lot of extra juice, right? 100%. So if it's Toronto coming down the road to play in the Hamilton Grey Cup, the juice is not quite as there. I mean, the Hamilton fans will still have a great party, and we know them as to be one of the better fan bases.
It'll be a great cup host. Yeah. Real quick, I will also say that there was a moment this week where I thought Lorenzo Modlin might be hurt. It was great to see him out there playing well, doing great. And
that's where the Stamps run game didn't get anywhere. So
Sean freaking Lemon.
He's signing with Montreal
Alouettes the week before they play the Calgary Stampeders.
So this was a thing that I thought about because it used to be a thing in the CFL. Like a team would release a player, and then if you were playing that team coming up, you would just sign that guy and try to get the scoop on the playbook and everything. Yeah. I'm just signing you for a week, gonna bring you in, get all the information we can get off of you. And so I don't think Sean Lemon has like all the details about the Calgary Stampeders. He hasn't been with them since last year, but he definitely was. If Sean Lemon goes into the Hall of Fame, he goes in as a Stampeder, I would say.
There should not be an if Sean Lemon goes into the Hall of Fame, to be clear.
Yeah,
he has. I can't pull it up because we still don't have stats, even though it's the end of week 7.
He's the end. He's in the top 10 of sacks of all time. And
I don't know that. I know he's above 90.
Okay.
I believe he's at like 92. So this is a guy who's going to get to 100 sacks. Very few players in CFL history have done that. Yeah. The fact that, again, while with the Stampeders last year, he was the West Division's most outstanding defensive player nominee. Didn't win the league-wide award, but this is a guy who's playing at a high level. I also will just say that like there is nobody who the public's interpretation of is more off than it is with Sean Lemon. I had this impression of him like, oh, he's bounced around, he's a bad egg, this whole idea. And I don't know why I had it. Like I'd never heard anyone say anything bad about him.
No.
He seemed to get along with all his former teammates. Yeah. And it's just like, honestly, like Sean Lemon's a great dude. Like I really like him, man. I've had him on the podcast, but
he's been around the league a long time. Well, I remember covering him when he first came in the league. Like
I believe this is his 8th team, so Hamilton's the only one he hasn't played for.
Okay,
and I think that leads people to be like, oh, well, he couldn't stick with one. That's BS. Yeah. Like, no, you know what it means is that
he keeps getting opportunities.
He keeps getting opportunities because he's that good. So
it's like the Kevin Glenn effect. It was like Kevin Glenn kept playing with every other team. It was like, yeah, because you know what you're getting with Kevin Glenn, and you just bring him in because you know what you're going to get. Same thing with Sean Lemon. Montreal needs a little boost to their pass rush. Okay, bring in Sean Lemon.
You know he's going to produce.
Oh yeah,
he always does.
He does.
And when he was
the first line of the story I saw, I was like, and he's expected to play against Calgary. Of course he is.
Of course he is. And he'll make a meal of it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I wish I could be in Montreal, but I will say, I mean, even him getting cut by BC, it's like.
Yeah.
Now you look at it like, oh, the best defensive line in the league. Like, yeah, like that was some tough competition. And that Sean Lemon doesn't cost
down
nothing.
More to a ratio change than anything else, and it looked like it worked out for them because isn't that Betts Canadian? Yeah. So that's what they were like. Okay, let's not try to tinker with the roster and worry about it. We'll have to let Sean go and wish him well, and he's gonna play in Montreal now. So yeah, good on him.
Well, I don't really know. I think we're coming in on probably just under 45 minutes for the pod, which is kind of my goal.
Yeah.
For this evening. Before I go, I mean, do you want to hear me read about some charcuterie?
Yeah. I keep getting teased like there's going to be a charcuterie report here at some point.
It was never going to be tonight.
No,
I am going to have you.
I don't think they're open this late on a Sunday, right?
Oh, you got to let them know in advance. These charcuterie boards aren't easy to put together.
No.
But they're all fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh artisanal ingredients. That's what you want.
Yeah.
I don't want some 3-day-old charcuterie board that's packaged and wrapping, and you don't get that at Fraser and Fig. Fraser and Fig gives you the real, fresh, artisanal provisions for on-demand grazing. Honestly, anyone who listens to this podcast knows I'm a big fan of Fraser and Fig.
Right.
We are, I believe, the alternative for us is because we do intend men eating meat. It's going to be a new segment, but it also is going to be in the 30s here. One of the great things about living in our dearly beloved Calgary is that there are rivers that you can go put your feet in, sit there, just have a good time. I can see myself really, really getting down with the charcuterie box.
Man,
sitting in the river.
Sounds like tomorrow. That sounds like a great idea. It's going to be 32 degrees here in Calgary.
I might have to call Fraser and Fig, but anyways, we'll let you know. We're going to keep you updated, guys. We always do. Ready to go cheese and charcuterie boxes curated with local and artisanal ingredients. They got 4 sizes every occasion. All boxes come with meat, cheese, dried fruit, fresh fruit, nuts, olives, pickles, and carrots, and their selections do vary month to month. So just because you've had one doesn't mean you've had them all. We love Fraser and Fig. They're a great sponsor. We appreciate them. Thank you. Man, I think I'm done work.
No, I'm ready to take it
until tomorrow. So. Yeah, I know. This is 2 days. This is 2 pods in a row where I've worn a collared shirt. Don't plan on making a habit of that.
No,
but I gotta figure out what I'm doing. I just got to take off this hat once we're off air. It's been a day.
You could keep it on if you wanted.
I don't know what we're doing.
You don't want to look like you're supporting the Toronto Argonauts.
I mean, I'm always supporting James Wilder Jr. Get Wilder.
Get Wilder. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Ian, thank you so much for coming in.
No problem.
You are the best, and we appreciate you. Guys, we'll be back on Thursday to talk all things CFL. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.